Hello, everybody. So look at my hair. So no, I'm not doing a traditional Facebook Live. I'm doing a non-traditional Facebook Live. So you see what it's like on a daily basis, what it is that I look like, what it is that I do, what it is that I sound like in relatively different backgrounds, situations, state of existence, because we are experiencing differences in climate change. Some people feel a difference. Some people actually feel a difference. And it's going to it's going to force some people to be in bed in their house a whole lot more than others. And when you're dealing with diversity, because we're all dealing with diversity, lifestyles and belief systems and choices in what we want to experience and what we need to do to save ourselves. And there's so much confusion on what is supposed to be normal, what people should or should not be doing. And now that we're heading into even a more aggressive climate, some people are going to have to be in bed and at home more than others. And the thing is that when you must exhibit characteristics to be home more than not and to be in bed more than not, people think, oh gosh, you're sleeping your life away. You gave up on life and da 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 da, right? And it's like, what is life? Life is different. Life changes all the time. And that's why we have Facebook and Facebook Reels and YouTube and all that. So we can see the diversity of life and the diversity of people and what they choose to do and why. And obviously we don't have to agree. But you could hear the reasons. You could hear the reasons why. You could hear their perspective on things. And have a new appreciation for what it's like for someone to change. And they have to answer to friends and family, co-workers, even their Facebook friends. Ooh, I just felt a frequency change. Because that, like I said, that is the hardest of all. That is the hardest of all, is to try to explain yourself to the people around you who have the most input. That's why I say, be careful, young girls and boys in the J world, and you're marrying somebody. And you'll know at some point. Scientifically, you'll know you're going to change. Every 7 years, people change. Every 7 years. And in this environment, people are changing for the worse. And that's what those posts about those children that are aging aggressively, contracting cancer, as well as maturity and making connections faster in this environment, that's the thing, is that everything is accelerated. And so people are changing for the worse and not for the better. And so when that happens and you're married and you finally realize that maybe you can't uphold the same lifestyle that you did maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You were with this person for 3 years, you get married at the 4th year, now you're changing in the next year and a half. You're like, holy crap, now they have cancer, disease, and chronic illness and whatever, and you have to stay home and stay safe and release demons and be sick and be in bed and watch Netflix, and your partner's going like, what the F is going on? I didn't marry this. Oh, I can only imagine what it's like for those who are newlyweds, for those who finally want to save themselves and know that they're going to have to take care of themselves and do things differently. You can only imagine what it's like having to deal with that. And we're heading into some pretty aggressive times. And I posted that those screenshots of the population back in 1980 in Pasadena, when they had double the population come in and watch one of the biggest Super Bowl games ever. And they didn't mention that there was a horrific amount of accidents. They didn't mention that. And they got double the population for that little small town. But now, this eclipse, they're saying that Mansfield and any other town that is going to get the totality, experience, there's going to be 1,000+ more accidents. And they're saying it's because of the influx of people. Well, we have Football Hall of Fame over here. We have fairs, and we have sporting events. And you would think that with planned sporting events and fairs and all types of like comedy shows in Las Vegas too, and Christmas and holidays, that you would experience a lot more accidents that you would be like concerning, and you'd see the scientists warning everyone, oh my gosh, the holidays, we're going to get 1,000, 6,000, 20,000 more people than expected, 250,000 more people than expected. There's going to be a lot more accidents. You would have thought that that would have been something that they would have done because of the influx of people doubling the population. But somehow, April 8th, that's different. And scarce resources, interruptions in communication. So, yeah, I was thinking about the people that don't realize things are going on, that they're either under the influence or they're aging so aggressively that they don't have enough substance to have anything to convert, so they don't feel stuff, that at some point they're going to understand what's going on. We'll all be on the same page. And you know what? I can't wait. I cannot wait till all of us are on the same page. Like, seriously, I can't wait. And when that happens, that's going to be the moment of truth. And so part of me, when you think about it, part of me is just so fucking excited that we're finally going to be on the same page, April 8th. And so, even though it seems like, well, that would mean then there'd be a lot of death and destruction, and yeah, because what's it going to take for people to get what's going on? What's it going to take for someone who is less substance than someone else, who has a lot more to catch up to physically? What's it going to take for that person to explain to those who have a lot more substance to convert, who are under the influence, inebriated, to understand where a person's coming from? It's going to take death, destruction, and major crazy-ass fucking disease for them to get it. But then they might explain it away and blame it somebody else. But at least now, they're going to see something that is going to shake up their world. And the people who have been telling them, dude, yes, all this disease, cancer, and destruction and diet suddenly does come from not only frequency shift, but also major denial and, well, your lifestyle and belief system finally catching up to you. But also frequency shift. And so, yeah, that's part of me that can't wait for that to happen. And I'll tell you, a lot of people in the conspiracy world who are 20 years ahead of most people out there, finally realizing they can't wait for it either. Even though they've been resisting it, I am now seeing a resignation, a slight resignation, that they can't wait for 2030. That eventually, yes, let the smart cities come in, and then they can say, I told you so. And that's why I say, those in the conspiracy world, those who feel something, those who've been in such resistance to what's going on, you have half a chance. You're halfway there. Remember, I resisted so hard too for at least 13 years, 12, 13 years, 11, 7, well, 7 years, 8 years. But then through that resistance, I realized what was going on. And I quickly changed my tune. And so through resistance, you will have an awakening and potentially an understanding. But those that don't resist, like seriously don't resist at all, and are even in denial, and I would say not in resistance, but even in denial, they don't have a fucking chance. Those that are in denial of what's going on have zero chance. Why do they have zero chance? Because they can't even take in new information. They can't even comprehend what the fuck is going on. It is like thoughts and prayers, and I'm shocked and dismayed that something happened yesterday. Oh, really? You're shocked and dismayed? Really? Are you serious? We've been around this shit for what? The last 20 years? And you're shocked and dismayed that something happened? It's thoughts and prayers? You're speechless? Are you fucking serious? But then that's the thing. There's a lot of people that are in the conspiracy world that weren't conspiracy theorists. They were masking as conspiracy theorists. And they're all anti, pharma, big pharma, all holistic. And they're like, dude, wow, you are seriously a mainstreamer. Holy crap. So there's some that had a little resistance against certain things, but hadn't seen the big picture and won't see the big picture. And won't listen to indicators, and they're shocked and dismayed. And so that's why I'm saying those in the conspiracy world who have been in resistance for such a long time, it wasn't a fad. It wasn't jumping on the bandwagon because somebody they liked was doing it. And so they're like, oh, okay, I'll just jump on the bandwagon and follow them and do this. No, it was like there are people who are actual conspiracy theorists that studied and continue to study the intentions of what's going on. And even though they may not have come to that point of understanding why it's happening, I'm seeing the break in the veneer. And that's a good thing. Because eventually it will be accepted as self-evident. What? Truth. It doesn't mean they're going to survive it. Because who knows what people's lifestyle and predisposed issues. And even with the whole cannabis stuff. If you're in major resistance and you're under the influence of cannabis, there's still a potential glimmer of hope because maybe that cannabis hasn't completely taken away all your sensibilities and you're in such resistance that maybe you can turn that energy around and convert it to something to your benefit versus something against you. Because that's all energy conversion. I mean, shit, you studied this shit for so many years. I mean, with my information, people who are in such resistance of my information, you've been around it for such a long time. Eventually, maybe if you have the capacity or if your body has the capacity to let it sink in, it might sink in and you might actually see some credibility in where I was coming from and where I am coming from. I mean, it's not always going to be the case. But people who are in such resistance around information that they've been around for years and years and years, eventually they'll resist it so hard they'll destroy themselves, or something might actually sink in and they might actually save themselves and do something a little bit different. Maybe buy them a little more time to figure out how to redirect the energy. Yeah, but it's the mainstreamers. It's the mainstreamers who haven't even decided to read another thought process and find the credibility or the merit. Can't even entertain the opposing point of view. I mean, there are conspiracy theorists that don't understand the mainstreamer side of it. Yes, that's granted, that is actually, that does exist. But, at least with a conspiracy theorist, you've been around the whole smart city type of stuff. You've been around the, what is it? Something is an inside job type of thing. And so nothing should be, again, a shock. What's there to be shocked and dismayed about? That's the thing. So you can tell who the actual mainstreamers are because they're shocked and dismayed. And the ones are like, yeah, we've been around this. We know this shit. It's been like 20 years. More than that. We're nonplussed. We're like, here you go. Just another thing. And so the ones that are completely oblivious, they're shocked and dismayed by everything. Shocked and dismayed. I'm speechless. Oh my God. This world must be at peace. I pray for peace. Really? Seriously? Do you not know what's going on here? Are you that under the influence with your head in your ass type of thing? Your head in the sand that you think thoughts and prayers and saying that we should have peace on earth is going to help anything? And so, yeah, I mean, all of this is a strengthening exercise. All of what's going on. It's going to separate the men from the boys, the girls from the women. It's going to toughen people up. And what's going on is it's a major toughening up exercise that will have deadly outcomes. See, I was lucky enough that I had the training that didn't have the deadly outcomes to deal with fear and pain and suffering and strategy. But in this environment, in this world now, what's going on? You're being given choices, and some of your choices are going to be deadly. Now, of course, whatever choices I made as a kid, given those opportunities to make the choices, it could have been deadly for me. But I had enough common sense to stay out of harm's way, and probably potentially even lucky. Because, yeah, when you're a kid, you can strategize, but still, you still got to learn the hard way. Sometimes death is learning the hard way. Well, you can only imagine with adults under the influence, adults who are in denial, adults who have to argue facts with people and think their opinion about something is a fact, adults who think that their opinions are facts and then says, well, I'm resigned to even argue the point with someone if they can't even accept the facts and they have to argue the facts and assuming that their perspective is the most correct. So they're giving up. You can believe whatever you want to believe, okay? But that's, yeah. So in this environment, it's going to have deadly outcomes for so many people because of how oblivious they are. They're shocked and dismayed yet again. They don't listen to indicators. They can't read. They can't comprehend. And if they can read and comprehend, they're in denial, in resistance. They hate the messenger. Oh, gosh, yeah. And so that's what it's going to take, I think, to wake up everybody and to strengthen the human population. Because the strong will survive despite their resistance. And then when they finally realize that it's not in their control anymore, that they now have to figure out how to strategize their survival without resisting, they will have the means to do so. But it's the weaker ones, the ones that can't even afford to be in resistance, can't afford to be in denial. Well, yeah, they're in denial and their resistance and their lack of comprehension, their lack of taking in new information will have a deadly outcome. And that's sad, but that's the reality. And I figured out not to be upset about that. And you can say stoicism, yes. But it is now matter of fact. It's what is meant to happen. Remember, we've been given so many choices. I'm sure other countries are going through the wars. We're given so many choices to do A, B, C, D, E, F, or G, and they chose whatever they chose, and then what's going on now is the actual consequences to their actions. And it was based upon the different world governments. It wasn't their peers saying, well, you did this, so here I'm going to be judge, jury, and executioner. Here, I'll be the one to then deliver you consequences. No, it is through government officials, through collective bodies of people who have to go and make decisions about what must be done based upon the conflicts between countries, between cities, between even specific people. Okay? You don't know what people knew and when they knew it. You don't know what choices were given to them and what they chose. You may have speculation. And people, if you see, obviously they're in resistance to change. So when someone says they're coming in, like, well, we want to buy up all your property because of A, B, C, D, E, F, or G. We'll pay you, double, triple, and whatever, and something's going to happen, and da-da-da. Who knows if they're told that. And they choose, well, no, we're in resistance. We're staying here. We're not moving. And something happens. Fuck. What are you going to do? And maybe people didn't get those choices. Maybe they just were given choices to leave and they decided not to, or who knows what, or they resisted, internet. They all want to be cash only, and the system wants to go into digital, and they're telling me, oh, go to cash only, telling all the local businesses to be cash only. And so when you resist an entity that is trying to change the system and you don't know what kind of power they have behind them, and you think your activism is going to save you, not realizing there's a higher power. And I'm not even saying God, but a higher power of somebody else that has other means to get people to fall in line, and then people suffer. That's how the system figured out how to use fear, pain, and suffering to control people who don't want to change, who don't want to assimilate, who don't want to evolve. And I tell you, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but somebody's got to be the one to develop and guide the change process and guide humanity so it doesn't fall into the same shit of extinction or repeating the same thing over again. Everyone fighting amongst each other, they get exhausted, go off into their respective areas in the world and build up their forces, and then come back and get retribution and start another war again. What if we didn't have to do that? So in this time right now, in this transition between the old world and the new world that's coming up, just imagine a better society. Go look at Switzerland. Go look at what the World Economic Forum is doing with Switzerland and with the Northern European countries. Go see what they have developed. Go look at how beautiful the food is, the buildings are, their way of life, the well-behaved children who aren't drunk off their ass and being stupid out there and bullying other kids and stealing and hurting other people. Go look at countries that have developed a culture of tolerance, of beauty, peace, and longevity. And then there's room for evolution. You don't have to go to the medical holistic system. Maybe there's less cars or no cars at all. When there's no cars, there's no pollution. Oh, but you don't have any freedom. Well, freedom is earned. It's not a right anymore. It's earned. You've been given so much freedom, and guess what we did with it? We've screwed shit up. We've polluted things. We've spent so much money. We've hurt people. And so we're starting over again. And maybe the things that you want and need don't have to be 20 minutes away. Maybe everything you need could be within reach. I mean, when you think about it, I'm trying to go through all my files, throw away paper. I'm like, God, all this shit can be digitized. Why am I holding on to paper? If I can get benefit and derive some kind of real quick hormonal response from a video, from a movie, from food and water and air, do I need to get in my car and go over here? I mean, yeah, there'll be places for people who have the money to travel. But you earn that, right? That's what the future will be. There'll be places that will be cordoned off for biodiversity, and there will be human habitation zones, and it will be controlled so humans don't destroy Mother Nature and things. Okay, so we're heading into a very beautiful world that the process is going to be downright ugly, full of resistance, a lot of death and destruction, and a lot of mischaracterizations, and a lot of pain and suffering. And through that pain and suffering, either you're going to destroy yourself and destroy others, or you're going to fucking survive it. Okay? You can there's only two choices here. The system is giving you a choice. And so that's why they keep warning you that April 8th is going to be a major turning point. And they're giving every warning without actually telling you everything. So if you choose to go out there and gallivant and pretend that you're just immune to everything, there are consequences. You could be caught up in gridlock, traffic jams, or get hit by someone who had a heart attack behind the wheel and they come on headlong, crossing dividing lines, and hit you face on. There's so many things that could happen. Planes fall out of the sky. I mean, I'll tell you, so many different types of scenarios could happen, and expect all of them. So, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I had a little bit of arm pain. I felt weird last night. I felt the frequency shift. I felt fucking weird last night. Tell my husband this, and he doesn't feel anything. That's what's so crazy. Those that don't feel anything think people who feel stuff are crazy. And nope, I just have a lot more to catch up to, different genetics. And you're lucky enough that you have the genetics you have, and that you don't have the pain and the suffering or whatever. If you do, it's manageable. You don't. And so it might take a higher frequency shift for those who don't feel anything to finally feel something, and sometimes it might end up in someone's death. That's how bad it will have to get, so people wake the fuck up. And that's what it will take. That's what it's going to take. And I hope you're not the one that has to wake up your friend and family because you didn't survive climate change. All right, bye.